Hello everyone, nice to see you again. I hope all my children are doing well. Now tell me, did you send your assignments to your teacher? Really? Excellent. Now let us look at the assignments given in last week. Your first task was to complete the word web of describing words and naming words. Let me tell you one more thing. In the first web, you can see describing words. Describing words are also known as, yes, come on. Yeah, very good. They are also known as adjectives. Those words that are used to describe a noun or a pronoun are known as adjectives. I will explain it once again. Describing words are also known as adjectives. Those words that describe a noun or a pronoun. Now coming to the second one. Look at the second one. Yeah, there are naming words. Naming words are also known as noun of a person, animal, place or a thing. These are the words that comes under a noun. So don't forget that describing words are also known as adjectives and naming words are also known as noun. I hope all of you got it right. In case if you have missed any word, you can add that too. Now, moving on to the second task. In the second activity, you were supposed to write a brief description of the village girl whom the boy met on his way to the river. You were supposed to write it from the point of view of the boy. I hope all of you wrote it. Let's review it.
Description of the girl. The brown-eyed girl I met in the valley was a source of confidence to me. She held a curved knife with much self-reliance. She was alone, but her fearless and good manners instilled in me the determination to continue my journey to the river. Her bangles made music when she moved her hands, and it was as though the hands spoke a language of their own.
My dear children, let us come back to our story. Aren't you eager to know what happened to the boy? Do you think that he will succeed in his journey to visit the river? I hope all of you read the rest of the story and underline the difficult words. Let us read the story together and we will find out the answers to these questions. You can take page number 11 in your textbook or look into the text given here. Let's read the story.
Presently he saw another boy ahead of him, driving a few gourds down the path. How far is the river? He asked. The village boy smiled in a friendly way and said, Oh, not far, just round the next hill and straight down. The boy, feeling hungry, unwrapped his loaf of bread and broke it in halves, offering one portion to the village boy. They sat on the hillside and ate in silence. When they had finished, they walked on together and began talking and talking. The boy did not notice the smarting of his feet and the heat of the sun and the distance he had covered and the distance he had yet to cover. But after some time, his companion had to diverge along another path and the boy was once more on his own.
What happened to the boy now? Do you think he is unhappy? Let's find out. In the last classes, we saw that a boy met two people on his way to the river. Who were they? Yes, come on. Who was the first one? Very good. A woodcutter. And what about the second person? Yes, exactly. A village girl. Now, on the next day, he saw one more person. Who is that? Yes, another boy. So, our 12-year-old boy met another boy who was driving a few gourds down the path. And seeing him, our boy repeated the same question. Which was that question? Yes, how far is the river? And what was the reply of our boy? Yeah, the boy told him that the river is not very far. It is just round the next hill and then straight down. A 12-year-old boy and the village boy became closer and they even shared his loaf of bread. This particular loaf of bread was broken into halves and one portion was offered to the village boy. What attitude of the boy is actually revealed here? What do you think? Yes, come on. Very good. The sharing mentality of the boy is actually revealed here. What is the word unwrap? What does it mean? I will give you a clue. In the beginning of the chapter, we saw a sentence. A loaf of bread was wrapped in a newspaper. If so, what will be the meaning of the word unwrap? There are certain words displayed in the screen. Can you identify the correct meaning of the word from that? Yes, come on. Very good. To unwrap means to open. Finishing their meal, they started to walk together and they began talking. In a way, it was a blessing to the boy. Do you know what is the reason? The answer is given there in the last paragraph in page number 11. Just read it. Yes, come on. Very good. The reason is that the boy did not feel the pain of his feet, the heat of the sun, the distance he already covered and the distance he had yet to cover. Now, I told you about the pain of his feet, right? There is a word used in that paragraph which gives you the same idea. What is that? Yes, come on. Exactly, the smarting of the feet. The word smarting means to feel pain. Now, after walking for some time, the boy diverged to another path. Did you notice the word diverge? What does it mean? Look at this picture. Yes, in this picture, two roads are diverging. So what will be the meaning? Yes, to turn from one road to another.
Presently he saw another boy ahead of him, driving a few goats down the path. "How far is the river?" he asked. The village boy smiled in a friendly way and said, "Oh, not far, just round the next hill and straight down." The boy, feeling hungry, unwrapped his loaf of bread and broke it in half, offering one portion to the village boy. They sat on the hillside and ate in silence. When they had finished, they walked on together and began talking. The boy did not notice the smarting of his feet and the heat of the sun and the distance he had covered and the distance he had yet to cover. But after some time, his companion had to diverge along another path, and the boy was once more on his own.
He missed the village boy. He could not be seen. His own home was also hidden from view by the side of the mountain. The river was not in sight either. He began to feel discouraged. He was sorry he had finished the bread. He might want it later.
We'll be happy if we have a companion in our journey, right? Can you identify one sentence from the story which shows the attachment between these boys? Yes, come on. Very good. The very first sentence in page number 12. He missed the village boy. Now, even after walking for such a long time, the boy now feels discouraged. Do you know what happened to the boy? Any idea? Yes, look at this paragraph. The boy feels discouraged because his home was hidden from view by the side of the mountain and the river is not seen either. He feels guilty or he is sad because he finished his loaf of bread and had no other food with him. Dear ones, shall we do one activity now? Look at this question given in page number 14, activity 3. The boy who goes in search of the river feels discouraged when he misses the village boy. He looks up and down the mountain path but sees no one. His own home is hidden from view by the side of the mountain and the river is not in sight either. He wishes someone were with him. Dear ones, what you have to do now is imagine yourself as our 12-year-old boy. Just think about this situation and write a paragraph about your thoughts in notebook. The boy was discouraged. He was determined to accomplish his aim. So he continued his journey. In the next paragraph, there is a short description given about the path. What is that? Yes, very good. The path was hot, dusty and stony. Now coming to the next one. There is a description about the house. How were the houses there? Yes, they were mud huts. Look at this picture. Do you think they are big houses? No, not at all. They are just small huts. Coming to the next one. Terraced fields. What do you mean by terraced field? Yes, you can look at this picture. We can see that there are different steps in which people are cultivating their crops. So, these terraced fields can be seen in slopes or hills. Now past all these places and there are no more huts or terraced fields. Instead of that, we can see only trees, plants, bramble and flowers and definitely loneliness. Did you notice the word bramble? What do you mean by bramble? Look at this picture. In this picture, we can see some thorny plants in which blackberries and raspberries grow.
Boy, he looked up and down the mountain path, but could see no one. His own home was hidden from view by the side of the mountain, and the river was not in sight either. He began to feel discouraged. If someone had been with him, he would not have faltered, but alone he was tired and lonely. He was sorry he had finished the bread. He might want it later. Yet he had come more than halfway, and he couldn't turn back. He had to see the river. If he failed, he would always be ashamed of the experience. So he walked on, along the hot, dusty, stony path, past mud huts and terraced fields, until there were no more fields or huts, only forest and sun and loneliness. Now there was no man and no sign of man's influence, only trees and rocks and bramble and flowers, only silence. The silence was impressive and a little frightening. It was different from the silence of a room or street. It was the silence of space, of the unknown. There wasn't any movement either, except for the bending of grass beneath the boy's feet, or the circling of a hawk high above the pine trees. Then, as the boy rounded a sharp bend, the silence broke into sound.
The silence was impressive and a little frightening. It was different from the silence of a room or street. It was the silence of space, of the unknown, the silence of God. Then, as the boy rounded a sharp bend, the silence broke into sound. A sudden roaring sound, the sound of the river. Far down in the valley, the river tumbled over rocks. The boy gasped and began to run. He slipped and stumbled, but still he ran. Then he was ankle deep in the painfully cold mountain water, and the water was blue and white and wonderful.
Now moving to the next paragraph, we can see that there was complete silence all around. Will you like such a silence? Look at this paragraph. The silence was impressive and at the same time it was frightening. The silence was not like the silence of a room or a street. It was quite frightening. But suddenly something broke this silence. What is that? What broke the silence? Look at that paragraph. Yes, a sudden roaring sound. Yes, my dear friends, it is the sound of the flowing water. He was longing to visit the river and finally he reached there. Far down the valley, the river tumbled over the rocks. What do you mean by the word tumble? Yes, very good. Tumble means to flow quickly without any control. And for a second, the boy gasped and he began to run. What do you mean by the word gasp? Yes, gasp means to take short, quick breath. So he held his breath for a second and after that he started to run. He even slipped and stumbled. What do you mean by stumble? Yes, stumble means to fall down while running or walking. And finally, the boy is now ankle deep in the water. He's standing in that water. After all these hardships, he finally reached the river. He is actually enjoying each and every moment. He is feeling that cool and bright water which is coming from the mountains. Now, there is a description about the water given in the last paragraph. Can you identify that? Which are the words that are used there? Yes, come on. Very good. Blue and white and wonderful. So that is a description given about that pure water which is coming from the mountains. Boy in the story, how far is the river, is thrilled after visiting the river. He now decided to write a letter to his friend in order to share his experiences. We can turn to page number 17, activity number 9. Imagine that you are that 12-year-old boy and write a letter to your friend sharing all these experiences. Here is a sample letter for you. You can refer to this and complete your task. In your letter, there should be sender's address in the beginning in the left side of the page. In sender's address, you can write your own address which is followed by date and salutation. Then comes the body of the letter and don't forget to divide paragraphs. In the end of the paragraph, you will have the closing paragraph. And finally, that will be followed by signatory. So in the same manner, you can complete this task. Here once, shall we move on to another interesting activity? You can do this as your homework. Turn on to page number 13, activity number 1. There is a word web given there. What you have to do is read the whole story and complete it in your textbook itself. The word web. In the first column, you can write the sentences that impress you the most. Your most impressed sentence in this story. Secondly, you can include the moment you enjoyed the most in this story. Thirdly, the characters who touched your heart. And in the last column, you can write those pictures that flash through your mind while you read the story. My dear ones, shall we go on to a word game? In the last paragraph, we saw two words, slipped and stumbled. What do these words mean? Yes, come on. Very good. To fall down while walking or running. Both words have almost similar meanings, right? Yes. Such words which have same meanings or almost similar meanings are known as synonyms. I'll repeat it once again. Those words which have same meaning or almost similar meanings are known as synonyms. Now look into the screen. You can see that there are 4 words given in bubbles. The first one is walk, second one stop, third one ask, and the last one decide. In the first bubble, the word given is walk, and along with that there are 2 more words, that is march and strike. And we can see that these 3 words have same meanings. Now this is your third activity for today. What you have to do is, there are some words given in the side of this screen. You have to select the appropriate words and complete this word web. You have to find out 4 words each for each bubble and complete this word web of synonyms.
A sudden roaring sound. The sound of the river. Far down in the valley, the river tumbled over rocks, fast and frenzied. The boy gasped and began to run. He slipped and stumbled, but still he ran. Then he was ankle deep in the painfully cold mountain water. And the water was blue and white and wonderful.
Children, let us have a look at the assignments for this week once again. Don't forget to complete your homeworks and send them to your teacher at the earliest. Before winding up, let me remind you one thing. Even in these COVID days, nature can give us happiness and peace. Try to listen to your nature and stay safe at your homes. See you later. Bye.